Hey, how you doing? And welcome to Stocktails, the podcast dedicated to delivering you a healthy dose of investment insights alongside a dash of cocktail chaos. I'm Ali Selby, and in each episode, we'll be mixing drinks, dissecting stocks, and trying not to set the house on fire.
And I'm Armina Rosenberg, and today we'll be pitting two Chinese kings, or should I say queens, of cute capitalism against each other. That's Pop Mart versus MINISO. And basically, we're going to find out whether it's Labubus or Stitch plushies for the win.
One of these blind boxes is hiding some alpha, or could be a bubble waiting to pop, and we're not leaving here and stopping drinking until we find out which one.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Or Gunbei, as they say in China.
Gunbei. Wow, learning something new every day.
And before I forget, folks, don't forget that this is for education and entertainment purposes only. If you want proper investment advice, we advise you to go to your financial advisor.
What are you drinking today, Arms?
This is a Miniso Mule. So, basically a normal ginger beer mule, but we named it after Miniso.
This is a Pop Martini. It is sickly sweet. it has some popping candy in there as well. So
On the rim,
yeah, on the rim.
Nice touch.
Yeah. If you are chronically online like I am, you've probably heard of Labubus and MINISO. I mean, everyone and their granddaughter owns a Labubu now. You see them on everyone's bags. The monsters are taking over the internet and investors are laughing straight to the bank. I mean, its share price is up 595% over the last 12 months. You're not invested in Pop Mart. You've taken a little bit of a different route.
Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah. Why are you backing MINISO instead?
Look, I think MINISO started in 2013. It was a bit of a sort of cheap and cheerful, I don't know if you ever saw Daiso, like the Japanese version of this, but kind of like trinkety store. It's really reinvented itself sort of recently. So now it's over 7,100 stores across 110 countries.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's really kind of honed in on the IP game. So basically 30% of its sales now come from IP paraphernalia. So we're thinking like Disney Stitch, Sanrio's Hello Kitty, Harry Potter, Peanuts like Snoopy. So they basically brand, little products using that IP.
Right. I feel like it's changed a lot since my memory of MINISO is much more like Daiso. It's become much more of like the other Pop Mart.
Yeah, well, I think that's because of Pop Mart to some extent. Like I think that they've seen the success that Pop Mart has had in the IP field, and they're chasing that as well.
MINISO was actually brought in by Taurient earlier this year. Pop Mart was too. Sticking with MINISO, why was it flagged?
Yeah, so MINISO, there was an article in the South China Morning Post of all places back in January 25, and shameless plug for Minotaur. That just shows how sort of wide we go when we're looking for ideas, right? Like, I don't think most brokers or fund managers are looking at the South China Morning Post for ideas. But the article was about how MINISO was raising $550 million in debt to fund this offshore expansion, as well as do buybacks. So that was a pretty curious and bold capital allocation decision. They want to get to 40,000 stores, apparently. So, huge. I said before they're only at 7,000. But that was kind of, I guess, the crux of, that was the strategy change that we honed in on and thought was interesting. So had a look at it from there.
Why haven't you done the same for Pop Mart? I think its share price is up like 120% since it was flagged in Taurient. Why have you not been watching that stock more closely or investing in that?
Again, thanks for the reminder, Ali, of all the things we've missed.
Sorry.
Look, with MINISO, we actually didn't buy it straight away when it got flagged, so we kind of followed along for a little while. We weren't sure about the business model and whether it was too hit-driven. We put in some triggers in Taurient, and it eventually got hit after having a first quarter 25 earnings miss, which Sounds like a bad thing that they missed earnings, but it actually gave us a really good entry point. And so we made 9%, or have made 9%. Admittedly, it's very early days, but happy early days. And it was just a classic case of, I guess, being patient as opposed to like being caught with the FOMO, which is actually the exact opposite of the business model of these guys. But with Pop Mart, similar thing. So we liked the business model, but we thought it was a little bit exy. So we set trigger points to get involved. Unfortunately for Pop Mart, or unfortunately for us, I should say, Pop Mart never hit those trigger points. So we thought it was exy, you know, back when I think Taurient flagged it in April. We think it's exier still.
But we did spend a little bit of money, a research trip, if you will, at both stores, and Pop Mart was absolutely packed.
Yeah.
I tried to buy a Labubu, they said they're sold out. There were people in Miniso, but it definitely wasn't as busy. And then I also think, why are people buying these things in the first place? Like, it's just plastic junk, it's like pink capitalism. Like, how do we even get here in the first place to this level of absolute crazy?
Well, just want to be clear, actually, even though everyone seems to think this is a new thing, this is actually a business model that's been entertaining and surprising the Asian population masses for eons, and it's called gashapon. So,
Gashapon.
Yeah, which sounds a bit awkward.
Sounds like a type of dance.
Gashapon.
Yeah, it does, like a gashapon, yeah.
So basically gashapon refers to these Japanese vending machines that used to have these capsules, and you go to a vending machine, you get one of these capsules, and they contain a product that is part of a series. And so there could be 6 in the series, and you'd hope that you'd want a certain one of the series. So maybe you had 2 of 6 of the series, and you want one of the other 4. But you wouldn't always get that. But it was this cool collectibles, but also entertainment, a little bit of risk-taking behavior there. And so, that was the kind of start of it. That's the business model that Pop Mart and MINISO both employ.
Right. I've heard there's a big reseller market, or I've seen reels about it on Instagram. I think people are reselling Labubus for thousands of dollars. How does that impact demand and ultimately share prices?
Yeah, I think the reseller market is actually a good way of tracking demand. So, as you said, sometimes the resellers can go for 5 times plus on the products. To take an example local, I think you and I walked into Pop Mart in the Pitt Street Mall. It was selling Labubus for $30 or something. At The Good Kid, which is a store in Parramatta that resells Labubus, they're selling them for $140. So
oh my God.
Definitely huge markups there. Actually, it's an interesting way of tracking it. So The Good Kid, for example, has an online website. One of the things you could theoretically do is scrape that website with the prices and see if they start coming down. And if you see the reseller market starting to tank, that could be a good indication of maybe you should be selling that stock market price. So that's a good way of kind of, I guess, tracking the latent demand. Now, we haven't seen that for Pop Mart, admittedly. And MINISO was also sold out of some of the items, if you remember.
Yeah. We tried to get a cute Lilo and Stitch toy and it was sold out.
Yeah. We did get a few though, so.
Should we have a look and figure out what all the fuss is about?
Yeah, for sure. What do we want to do first? Pop Mart?
Yeah.
I think so.
I really want the green one. I'm desperate for the green one. I think it's called Serenity.
Is that because you are, if anything but serene?
How dare you? I feel like you're just mad because I'm not into the Miniso call.
I think it's Miniso.
Miniso.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay, ready?
All right, let's do it.
Okay. Wait, you didn't tell me which one you want.
I want the purple one, which is apparently luck, which I would love more of, to be fair. But I think purple just also goes with most of my outfits.
True. Okay.
All right, let's do it. Oh, how exciting.
Oh my God. We're losing our Labubu virginities. Well, not really.
Well, no, I've been done before.
Yeah.
All right.
Are you serious?
Ready?
Wait, I haven't opened my
Oh, okay.
Okay, ready?
Dun, da, 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 da.
Oh, orange.
I got my purple.
Damn it. What's orange stand for?
I don't know which one's the orange one.
Happiness.
Oh,
That makes
that's pretty
sense.
good.
That's pretty good for me.
That's pretty good.
I am always very happy.
I'm going to put this little guy over here, I think. There
Isn't it cute?
Oh man, okay.
Oh, I forgot to say, I want to show you one that Anthony, my boyfriend, got me while he was in Vietnam.
Okay.
He got me a Lafufu.
What's a Lafufu?
It's a fake Labubu.
Why is there like part of the fluff in its eyes?
Why is its face so cursed?
Look, I think the product's pretty cute. I'm a big fan of Pop Mart products, but Miniso just seems like the better long-term bet right now.
How so?
Well, look, there's a few key differences. So let's talk about valuation first. Miniso is trading on 18 to 20 times earnings. Pop Mart is like double that, right? And like you might say, oh, Pop Mart's growing faster, which is definitely the case. But if you look at it on a PEG ratio, so that's the PE adjusted for growth, it's on 1.5 times, and Miniso is trading on less than 1 times PEG. So, you know, on all valuation metrics, Miniso is definitely the cheapest one. And then, you know, think about like business models. So Miniso employs a sort of capital-light structure where it partners with distribution partners in sort of different countries to be their partner in rolling out stores. So I think 80% of their stores are like that, right? And that means that they share the risk. If it's low foot traffic in one store, that's actually okay. They'll still get paid some earnings from it. Pop Mart is direct to consumer, corporate stores. Like it's a much more CapEx heavy business model. And then finally, like it's high end versus affordable, right? So it's the classic value versus volume play. So Pop Mart is the high end, high value, ritzy. That's why you think it's so cool, because you're a high value girl. But Miniso is...
With champagne taste.
Miniso is affordable and the masses love it, and you know, you can kind of go in and get something for like about 10 to 100 yen, which is like $1 to $10. So yeah, it's different. It's a different play.
How about margins? I think Pop Mart's margins, obviously this is a business that it's not very expensive to create what they're creating here. I think Pop Mart's margins are around 65%, and then Miniso is like mid-40s.
Yeah.
What's that looking like? Is that changing? Is the trajectory growing or shrinking for both those businesses?
Yeah, I think with all these things, trajectory really matters. So yes, you're right. Miniso has a lower margin, but it's gone from 28% in FY21 to like mid-30s in the recent quarterly, so first quarter 25. They think that they can get a bit higher than that, or some analysts think that they can get a bit higher than that. Whereas Pop Mart is already at that high gross margin. It's kind of seeing overseas shipping costs increase and some of the internet e-commerce service costs increase. So that's actually going the other way and falling a little bit. And analysts have actually forecast to trim their 2025 net margin forecasts. But look, we've talked about how amazing Miniso is. So how about we look at the product? We've looked at the Pop Mart product. Yay! Let's open our Miniso boxes. Okay. Oh, look, wait, which one do you want of the Stitch ones? I want the one eating pizza.
The one eating pizza?
Yeah.
I want the one eating a coffee because I always need caffeine in my life.
All right, let's do it.
These can't be good for the environment either. There's so much plastic.
We might have to do an ESG breakdown at some point.
Oh, God. Okay, what do I...
You got it!
I got the coffee one.
Oh, the pineapple. That's pretty good that I got what I wanted and you got what you wanted. It's almost like we planned that. We did it. These are blind boxes.
Oh my God. It actually is adorable.
I think this is cuter.
What do you think, Juki? Do you like it?
What do you think, folks?
So crazy. Right. Truly what a crazy, crazy world we live in.
Oh, man.
Is there a lot of coverage on these stocks? Like, I feel like a lot of consumers are talking about them, but I haven't really heard fund managers talking about Miniso or Pop Mart. Yeah. Like, who owns these stocks?
Yeah, I mean, they're really not talked about in Australia, except for, and shout out and kudos to my friend Ian Furphy, who's at VFMC, whose wife is probably as obsessed with Labubus as we are. And then we saw that article the other day in the AFR with Kenny Arnott talking about how Pop Mart is overvalued and a potential short. Good guy, that Kenny. But look, I think in terms of ownership, I think Miniso is like 75% retail, so not really well owned institutionally. With Pop Mart, One of the interesting facts that I have neglected to mention up until now, maybe partially because it actually supports the Pop Mart story, is that the founder and CEO, his name is Wang Ning, he owns 43% of Pop Mart. Yeah. And, you know, we obviously usually love founder-led companies. Pop Mart is a founder-led company, so that's definitely a tick for them. But I think of the remaining ownership, so the 60%-ish, it's about 50-50 between insto and retail. So yes, Pop Mart definitely has more of that institutional following. I think it's because of what we've seen recently. Most brokers, I think, have only really initiated on the stock in the last year or so.
Right, okay. Well, with all that said, can you try and convince me that you think Miniso can scale to 10,000 stores by 2027 and even 40,000 stores as they're hoping they'll do in the future?
Yeah, look, I think it's the global franchising flywheel that they've got going on. Like, they've got the franchising partners to basically take care of the capex for them, but they do the design, they do the sourcing, they do the IP. It's just a really good like marriage that they've got going on there. And then when you talk about IP co-creation, I think they've been really smart in kind of moving away from that anime and that image of anime and like we're Asian only to broadening out the IP, you know, to Disney and Harry Potter and the like. So I think that that's definitely, you know, a winning strategy for them. They're thinking that IP contribution is going to be like greater than 50% by 2028. And then the last is, I guess, their digital loyalty. So they've got like 26 million monthly active users on the Miniso platform, and their ticket size has gone up 8% offshore in the last like little while. So I think that's lots of data to drive cross-sell. And I think you'll see the re-rate happen towards the Pop Mart kind of multiple.
How about like Pop Mart? It's kind of been on this up and to the right trajectory for a past year at least.
Yeah.
Could that continue, do you think, or is it a bubble waiting to burst?
Look, like, to be fair on Pop Mart, it's definitely earned the hype. So it is up, sales are up, I think, like basically doubled in the last year. And if you look at sort of North America as a proportion of that, that's up 14 times, right, in their last results. So they're doing really, really well. The thing is, I feel like they're a bit of a one-hit wonder. I worry about the fact that it's really just Labubu driving sales. Like Plush as a proportion of their sales is 41%. And then Labubu, I think, they don't actually disclose it, but the analyst estimates that I've seen is Labubu is 28% of their sales. So like at some point, surely that's got to kind of, I don't know, run its course a little bit. Now, would we be interested in it? I think if the earnings catch up to the multiple, like potentially, or if it pulls back to sort of that, you know, mid-20s PE, or if they show that they can continue to create these like hits. Like they talk about Molly and Skull Panda and some of the other like IP, but you know, we don't really know them.
Who else should be in the toy chest? Let's like expand the book a little bit further.
Yeah, so like to give you a couple of one-liners on a few that I've been looking at. So Sanrio, which is, you know, the old OG Hello Kitty. Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're still around. They trade on a premium multiple. It's actually the 50th anniversary of Hello Kitty.
Oh, cute.
So I think there's renewed interest because of that. And they do an asset-light royalty type model. But that growth has been modest, and it's mostly Japan and East Asia. And then Mattel, obviously being reinvigorated by, what's that blonde bombshell's name?
Barbie.
Yeah, no, but the woman,
Margot Robbie.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Margot Robbie. Yeah, so I think, you know, that it's been reinvigorated. It's riding that Barbie optionality. But I'm not sure like when Barbie 2 is coming out. There's been like rumors about it, but not sure where the sort of film lumpiness is going to occur. And then Hasbro, that's been restructuring. It seems more of a cyclical play. It's getting margin tailwinds from Wizards of the Coast, which is like things like Dungeons and Dragons. Not really my cup of tea. There's Spin Master. So who knew that Paw Patrol is actually listed?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So the owners of Paw Patrol. There's a sequel apparently coming. I actually think that one's interesting because it's trading on like a single-digit PE. And then probably the dark horse is Bandai Namco, which actually, again, shout out to Thomas Rice, our colleague. Back in March 2018, we visited Bandai Namco, and it's kind of like Pop Mart, but like more mature, kind of slower, less Instagrammable, but it's trading on a single-digit PE to boot as well. So there's some interesting names to throw into the mix.
Wow, I really like those tasty tidbits. Speaking of tasty things, I feel like there's also been some food brands that have gone really viral on the internet, like Buldak Ramen. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly because I'm gluten-free. So I've never had it, but it looks spicy and tasty. How about food brands?
Yeah, Buldak Ramen. So the Korean stock there is called Samyang Foods, and it's so crazy. Like that is now the most valuable food and beverage stock on the Korean stock market because it's been up 5 times since 2023. And yeah, like that went viral because of this like TikTok spicy noodle challenge. Is it just kind of a meme stock? Like potentially, but it might not be, because if you actually look at some of the fundamentals, they're pretty strong. So it's had explosive overseas growth. I think overseas is now 77% of revenue. It's forecast to get to 86% by 2027. The US is growing at almost a 30% CAGR. They're like in Costco, Walmart, Target. And then there's capacity expansion. So they've been at 100% capacity for the last couple of years, which means like they can't produce more, obviously. But they're about to open factories in Korea and Japan. So that'll increase their capacity by like 86%. So huge improvement in margins there. And then talking of margins, they're at 25% operating margins already, which far outpace their peers like Nissan or Nongshim, who are in the low teens. So look, you know, Samyang's spicy, pun intended. But I do think it could be a structural growth story. Could be overhyped carbs. You know, who knows? It's like we don't own it. It's which one we're watching.
Is there something in investing in viral stocks? I mean, we've just seen Sydney Sweeney wrapped up in controversy for an American Eagle, I think the brand's name is, for the jeans campaign. Like, should investors think about investing in viral stocks or viral products or companies with viral products as an investing strategy?
Look, I think you can get caught in the timing of these things. So like just because something is going viral doesn't mean it's a viable investment. What we're looking for is like scalability and margin expansion and proven product track record, right? So at a reasonable valuation. So look, for us, I think the Pop Martini stays on ice for now. But if the fundamentals flip, you know, perhaps we'll ready to fill up our cups or our boxes.
Yeah, well, Duke's already left.
He's had enough.
He's left the building, so I think we should wrap up. Thank you so much, Arns, for sharing all your insights with us. I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as we did filming it. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you for the next round. Cheers.